I've got something you'll be interested in. Those performance upgrades we discussed after the last race. They're on the car and the data looks promising. Take a look at the details.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 112 today for the Belgian Grand Prix in Season 6. We kick things off here today with a brand new part fitted to the car, the engine power upgrade, the minor one we purchased at the end of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And of course, we're kind of debating what we would go for. This was one of the last few minor upgrades. I think after this, pretty much now, all we've got to do is major upgrades to the chassis, to the aero, to the engine. So from now on, maybe upgrades are going to be a little bit slower. I don't know. I can't be say for certain as we look at the R&D tree. Certainly for the engine, there's maybe one more minor we can do there on that top end of the chart. But you can see on the right-hand side of the chassis, we're on the majors. But in terms of engine power now, we're back as the #1 power unit on the grid. For a while now, Force India and Red Bull have been pretty much level pegging as the top two engine on the grid, basically, the top two teams with the engine power. Despite obviously having the same engine as Force India, obviously you can do individual upgrades. And so Mercedes actually started off the season fourth best, I should say, right behind Ferrari. So actually we've kind of switched that all the way back round, and we've got it back to where I guess Mercedes started in season 1. So, you know, you're making changes there. Obviously, I said a lot of the time we want to do chassis upgrades, but since we reached that point where there were only major upgrades left, I didn't fancy waiting 4 weeks. Now, obviously, I have no other choice but to wait 4 weeks for those major upgrades, so we're just going to have to do that. But around here, you know, the next race, which will be the Italian Grand Prix as well, I think we'll probably like the fact that we've got those engine upgrades, especially around here at Spa as we go towards practice then in Sector 1, and as we come through to the end of Sector 3, these two sectors, we're going to hopefully gain quite a bit of time there with that extra engine power. Sector 2 is obviously all about the chassis and the aerodynamics, a place where we definitely are weak, as some of you guys pointed out in the comments below of last episode, and I do know that, but obviously if we can gain enough time on the straights in Sector 1 and Sector 3, it's not going to matter too much. In Sector 2, you know, you can try and park the bus a little bit during the race I'm talking about. And then obviously we talk about next race, the Italian Grand Prix. Well, being Italy, long straights, obviously it's all about the straight line speed there, so that's going to be a good boost for us. But we move on into qualifying then here at the Belgian Grand Prix. We're here and now, and we have to focus on the task at hand. Obviously, Hungary, Ricciardo got one over us. He was very, very strong. That Red Bull of his was very, very strong. Probably would have finished off as 1-2 for Red Bull there if it had not been for Max Verstappen's engine penalty, which really did help us out stay in the fight there and gain the points we did to try and have some damage limitation against Ricciardo. But as we move on into Spa, I'm hoping to hit back at Ricciardo, and we need to try and aim to beat him in this race if we can. So we go through into Q1 at the moment, the end of our flying lap. At the moment, Hulkenberg's going well, so the Renault guys maybe made an upgrade or two, but we come across the line and we go fastest in that session. We actually ended up fastest overall by the end of that, and Hamilton's down in P8, so I was quite surprised by that. So, you know, good showing, but Vettel equally is still there in second place, and the two Red Bull cars actually down the order then in Q1. So that was a little bit kind of, okay, we're looking good at the moment. Actually, Ferrari, obviously, as I mentioned last episode, did make a very random step up at Hungary, so maybe they're going to continue that step up here for the Belgian Grand Prix. But as you can see there on the indicator, there was some rain forecast for 5 minutes time, and by the time we come out of the pits and we've done our out lap, obviously Spa being such a long circuit, the rain is already coming down now. You can see the spray coming off the tyres as we go up the hill now through a Rouge up towards the Kemmel Straight, losing the back end, an absolute treat, and we lost the car and we're into the wall, and that is going to be a pretty big disaster for us here because the rain is going to continue on for the entirety of Q2 onwards, and we're going to have to obviously slump back to the pits, have the repair time as you can see now, and there's no sign of the rain letting up, and all these guys are going to set times in ultra soft tyres, one time lap, and it's going to be that classic thing that I've mentioned before, which I still think is a major glitch to me. I don't know, it might not be a glitch, but I think it is a glitch that I don't think the AI can actually set these lap times with the amount of rain that's there. I mean, obviously that might just be me complaining about the fact I can't do that, but I felt in my wheel there was not enough grip. Clearly there was enough grip because I span at the top of the hill. The AI do not seemingly get affected by that, and they set some pretty decent lap times actually, and in the end Hamilton was the one that went fastest there. So ironically I went fastest in Q1 and now he goes faster in Q2, but you can see that Carlos Sainz on the Inters goes very slow, so he's going to get knocked out. Looks like actually Sebastian Vettel may may be knocked out as well, along with Nico Hülkenberg. But you can see the lap times there are just like the ones we set in Q1. So the AI didn't get affected by that kind of spray. And obviously, I got out the pits as fast as I could. You know, as soon as I saw it was going to rain, I was straight on it to send myself out on the flying lap. So, yeah, very, very odd. But unfortunately, that's the way it's coming. We're 15th place. So, you know, we're just going to have to work with it. Obviously, that's going to open us up to some strategy because it's going to be dry, I think, for the race. So we could potentially start on softs or super soft tyres. So we can maybe try an alternate strategy compared to those guys up on top. Obviously, they've all set times on ultra soft tyres. They'll be a bit worn. They'll obviously be a little bit more worn due to the fact they've set the time under damp conditions. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but that could mean that we could benefit from the alternate strategy, as well as Sebastian Vettel and Nico Hülkenberg. But it ends up being, it looks like my teammate, Lewis Hamilton, on pole position there, I think you can see, and Verstappen in third place, I think that is, and Ricciardo, thankfully for me, a little bit down the order around P7 or PA, I think that was, as I look onto the grid sequence. So, you know, we've still got opportunities, and, you know, Hamilton clearly setting the pole time means the car's going well, obviously gaining enough time in Sector 1 and Sector 3, so let's hope that we can use that OP slipstream we know so much about here around Belgium in seasons gone by in this game, and we can get up the order. Obviously, the one task really for me today is to beat Ricciardo, not much else, so let's try and just do that, and then we'll see where we finish. If we can get ahead of Ricciardo, that's fine by me. But so let's go on to the full grid, and then we'll see how we go.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Kimi Raikkonen completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Ricciardo, Sergio Perez, and Ocon, Grosjean, Palmer, Massa, and Fernando Alonso, Vettel, Hülkenberg, Carlos Sainz, and a Mercedes, Magnussen, Stroll, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Pascal Wehrlein. Ericsson and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, so here we are on the grid then for the Belgian Grand Prix in P14, actually, not P15, as Daniel Kvyat, who was in the top 10 shootout, has a grid penalty, so he elevates us one place. So looking ahead of the race strategy now, the default is this alternative one-stop, the soft tyres to the super soft tyres. Now, we're going to actually go with a two-stop for now and start on the super softs, and that's going to allow us to maybe flexibly then change to a one-stop on the fly. The only reason I'm doing that is I'm not too sure maybe how the tyre wear is going to be on this Mercedes car. If this was maybe the Force India or the Renault that we were in previous seasons, I would definitely just go with the one-stop straight away. But just because of the tyre wear of this Mercedes car, we're going to start on the super soft tyres and then go from there. So here we go then. So 5 red lights to the Belgian Grand Prix. Round number 12 of Season 6 is underway. It is a pretty poor start actually from us compared to Carlos Sainz, our former teammate from Season 1 on the right-hand side. But we're going to nip down past him as he's kind of held up by Nico Hülkenberg and Sebastian Vettel. Of course, Hülkenberg and Vettel also had some issues getting into Q3 with me yesterday in Saturday, so we're now trying to overtake Nico here. We're going to get boxed in though by Fernando Alonso, the Honda powered McLaren, going very slow up the hill. As we go into the Kemmel Straight now, we have to swoop on the left hand side and try and overtake him now, and then following on down the Kemmel Straight towards the end of Sector 1, we're going to try and re-overtake Hülkenberg. We had him momentarily there before getting boxed in by the Spaniard, so down the inside, here we go. We're going to have to try and force him out a little bit, open up the steering wheel. He's still there, giving him the room, but he just can't keep his nose in, and we're up into P11 now, and we'll swing through to try and close up on Sebastian Vettel, who's at the end of this train. So obviously a few slower cars ahead of the Ferrari, so let's try and get him. So move on. Vettel, interesting to note, he's on the soft tyres. Myself and Hülkenberg have opted for the super soft tyres. So we know the Renault guys have been pretty piss poor at tyre wear, so that might be an indication that the Renault is going for a two-stop here. Obviously I'm going for a two-stop for now. We might convert that to a one-stop. You can see very easy pickings there to overtake Sebastian Vettel, and I would say also for the same for Felipe Massa, although Massa does put up a bit more of a fight, although Massa obviously was side by side with us into the bus stop, so a little bit easier to maybe to defend, whereas with Vettel pretty much a sitting duck down that main straight, down that back straight towards bus stop. We've seen so many times before. We saw it back in the Renault days of how OP that slipstream is against that very car, Sebastian Vettel. I still remember that overtake we made. I think it was in the Renault, and also I'm pretty sure we made some passes there in the Red Bull and the Force India of seasons gone by. But now we move on to lap 2 now, swinging through, and we can see Palmer is overtaking Grosjean. We'll try and do the same. We try to make a move into this next right-hander. It doesn't work out, and we lock up, double lock up to try and avoid him. Thankfully, no contact made with our nose there, but Grosjean, unfortunately, a bit of a mobile chicane there for us, and we have to wait till the same place we overtook Vettel to try and overtake him now on lap 2. And you can see Palmer up ahead has really got away, so that's how slow the Haas was and how much time we lost there. So unfortunate And also good to see that Palmer's actually going pretty well still at the moment. You know, always weird to say, but, you know, Palmer so far is beating Hulkenberg, and he's been doing pretty damn well to match his teammate in races gone by. He's in P7 right now, and it looks like to be getting on the back of some of the cars up ahead of him. The two Renaults, poor showing in Saturday, really. I thought they would have been better, especially after how they went at Hungary, and I was quite surprised, actually, by how Hamilton went. Although, speaking about Hamilton, he lost off pole position. It's Kimi Raikkonen who leads the way of the Belgian Grand Prix from Max Verstappen, and then as we peer over the hill in third place there, it's not even Hamilton, it's a Force India car, and so I think Hamilton, there he is in P4, so really piss poor start to this Grand Prix then. And then the next few laps after lap 1, because he's been overtaken by the Force India then. So he's clearly lost it off the starting grid to those two guys. And then Force India showing some really decent pace, because Ocon is not too far behind then, being kind of, well, he's kind of holding up a train. I was about to say chasing down Hamilton, but more so probably holding up a train behind him of Ricciardo, who's probably very frustrated at the moment. His teammate in P2, that's probably where he wants to be. Instead, he's looking at the back of that Force India. Obviously, the Force India probably is going to be a little bit better in a straight line due to the drag reduction we did in Season 5. So maybe that Red Bull car just can't overtake the Force India down this Kemmel Straight. As we move on, talking about the Kemmel Straight, here we are at the end of it, into the end of Sector 1, and now we've closed up this train now. Ricciardo's finally got past Esteban Ocon, but it's basically taken him too many laps to do that. And so as we are into lap 4, we're right up the chuff of Julian Palmer. We're going to try and feed it around the outside then of the very understeery right-hander to the left-hander with no name, and we're still going side by side opposite lock and just chopping away at the steering wheel, trying to give Palmer the same room at the same time as he gave us on the previous corner. And we go down the inside now, Pouon flats out, and Palmer has been squeezed out there. We're up the order, and that's a really good overtake, and one we need to desperately make there, because otherwise Palmer probably would have had some decent legs on him to keep me at bay down that back straight. So we move on now to lap 5 into turn 1, closing up to Esteban Ocon now, and we're up in P4. So that probably, I think Hamilton maybe has made a pit stop already. He was on the ultra soft tyres, of course. Ocon the same thing, but obviously the Force India car is going to have better tyre wear. But here we go, a little bit patient there as we go up the hill, and then open up the DRS down the Kemmel Straight. Rich mix going for now, and we're up into P3, and it's all calmly done. And so now we move on to lap 5. There goes our main rival, Daniel Ricciardo, then into the pit lane. So it'll be Max Verstappen who leads the way. So Raikkonen and Hamilton have already pit then from the ultra soft tyres. So once again, not only are the Force Indias going longer, but the Red Bulls again showing some decent tyre wear, especially Verstappen. Again, his AI seems to be able to go a lot longer on softer tyres than Ricciardo ever can. And so we move later on into the Grand Prix. Then this is Verstappen. We're looking at a replay of him, and eventually he's going to come into the pit lane for his first pit stop. But the two Red Bull cars, and I would say most of the grids are doing 2 stops, I think. And it's at this point when Verstappen came in that I thought, really, let's go to the 1 stop. I think that's going to be the way. Clearly, I think Hulkenberg and Vettel there in third place are doing the same thing. So I'm leading the Belgian Grand Prix now. Hulkenberg in P2, and we're both on super soft tyres, and Vettel, remember, on soft tyres in third place. So Vettel definitely doing a 1 stop. I think Hulkenberg may be doing a 1 stop with us, but as I said, the Renault, we know the tyre wear's not been amazing, so he could easily still be doing a 2, and he's just stupidly trying to stretch out his first stint. But meanwhile, though, as they're kind of pit lane, you've got the 2 Red Bull cars catching up to these cars. There's a 3-wide moment between Max Verstappen. He goes down the inside of 2 of them there, of Raikkonen and the Haas. It's a fantastic move by Verstappen to get 2 places in 1 in the bus stop. Raikkonen locks up with the Haas, and you can see Ricciardo frustratingly left behind there to try and chase down. So you can see my rival, who's only just ahead of Hamilton now, is really struggling in his Grand Prix. He's getting caught up in traffic in places where he just doesn't need to be. He needs a clean run to try and, you know, get the advantage on me from the pace the Red Bull car has, because of course I'm going to gain some advantage of not making a second pit stop. I'm going to gain an entire pit stop on him, and he needs to use the Red Bull pace to his advantage, and right now that's just not happening. You can see back behind him, Hulkenberg is out just behind Lewis Hamilton. So if I was ahead of Hulkenberg, I might just be able to slot in ahead of Hamilton right behind Ricciardo, which would be absolutely awesome, because I'll be pressurizing him straight away as soon as we're out the pit lane. So here we go then, into the pits on lap 10. We've got 12 laps to go for this Grand Prix. That's going to be a pretty easy 1 stop then made on soft tyres, even for this Mercedes car, which has been pretty piss poor on tyre wear. So now's the question of where are we going to feed out. We've got yellow flags. You can see the green flags being waved on the main straight, so that alludes to maybe something's gone on in the bus stop. So let's see just where we feed out. If it is ahead of Hamilton and behind Ricciardo, that'd be perfect. So here we go. There's Raikkonen. Obviously he was ahead of Ricciardo, and where Ricciardo's nowhere to be seen. Has Ricciardo had an issue? Maybe that's why the yellow flags were out. We're ahead of Hamilton. We're ahead of Hulkenberg. We're behind Raikkonen. this is where Ricciardo should have been, so there's been some sort of issue. Let's look at a replay now and see what went on there. He's clearly had something gone on because he should have been there. So at the moment here, down towards the bus stop, Ricciardo slipstreaming the Haas, who's been overtaken by Raikkonen and been dispatched already, and he falls very rapidly back to this pack. So this was Ricciardo initially ahead of Hamilton. He's now going side by side around the outside of Blanchimont. It would be a fantastic move there for Ricciardo, although I think we're about to see what maybe goes on. There might be some contact. Looks like there has been, because there's a locking up, and oh, the Haas has been dragged with Ricciardo, and Ricciardo is pushed down now by about 4 places, that was, or 3, and Hamilton, Hulkenberg and Esteban Ocon, I think that is, up the order, and Ricciardo left to defend from Julian Palmer then. And so we look on board now. Let's check, because from that angle, it kind of, I'm assuming there was contact between these two guys. Let's take a look now. So really great move around the outside of Blanchimont, but then look at that. No, there was no contact made from Ricciardo before he locked up. Ricciardo just locked up, and then the contact was made. And actually, the contact actually it kind of didn't hinder him. It just hindered the Haas, because Ricciardo would have lost those positions anyway, either way, with that lockup. So Ricciardo only has himself to blame there. And then on the very same lap then, on our outlap, Julian Palmer now is going to go side by side with Ricciardo and try and fight him to overtake him. So Ricciardo's going down one further position, and he's really not going well at the Belgian Grand Prix. This is literally the complete opposite of what he needed. He was probably licking his lips at the fact that I was in P15, yesterday, and P14 on the grid. But now the positions have been reversed, and we're going very well indeed. And so as we move back onto our POV on lap 11, closing up now on Carlos Sainz to try and overtake him for P5 down the inside of Blanchimont. That's a very nice tight pass, and we're up into P5 then, and we'll try our best to get onto the back of Kimi Raikkonen. So Ricciardo at the moment defending from Palmer, and so that will be around P10, almost P9 or P10, and we're in P5. So already now I would be happy with this, but looks like we can maybe go for more, because we move later the same part of the circuit on lap 13 now, so 2 laps later, and we're up the end of Kimi Raikkonen. We should be able to maybe make a move by the time we get to the end of the Campbell Straight, although it does look like we're pretty far back. Just watch this. We got up the hill now. The amount of speed we're going to gain here. Just the OP nature of the slipstream right now. And obviously the extra engine power. DRS open. Rich Mix going on the Mercedes engine. And we're easily past Raikkonen. He has nothing to answer to us, and we're up into P4 now. So now you can see it's Verstappen in P3, but we've got Sebastian Vettel and Sergio Perez in 1 and 2 at the moment, and both of them are going to come in right now on this lap. So obviously Vettel doing that reverse 1 stop, so he's gone 14 laps pretty much on those soft tyres, and now we'll be going to the end of the Grand Prix. So I did stretch out my super softs a little bit longer than he's going to be going on that set at the end of this race. So Verstappen now is the one leading the way, but of course he's on super soft tyres. He came on from ultra soft, so he will definitely be making a pit stop now, and there he goes. You can just see his car go in. You can see on the right hand side, actually, if you look close enough, there is his car on the right there, and we cross the line, and we're up into P1 now. Hulkenberg P2, and Sebastian Vettel is now in P3. So what did I say? The 3 cars that were there leading the way, 1, 2, 3, before, when all these guys came in for their first pit stop, and I mentioned we're going to switch to the 1 stop, and I think it's going to be the best way to go. Here you go. The same 3 are now left in 1, 2 and 3 to the end of this Grand Prix. You can see Raikkonen though does set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, so that Ferrari does have some decent raw pace, so Raikkonen might come back, but that also alludes to the fact that Vettel may be in a very good position, because he's right here close to me and Hulkenberg, and he's on fresher super soft tyres compared to me and Hulkenberg on 2 sets of soft tyres. But now as we move on to lap 18, off the final corner, we got a really surprisingly poor exit, and Hulkenberg gets an amazing one. He shoots it out on the inside. I was so taken aback by this. I really did not expect him to make that, because I didn't think my exit was particularly poor. Obviously I was in lean mixture trying to save some fuel. We went back to standard. Now we're into Rich trying to close up on him. But yeah, Hulkenberg with an absolutely amazing exit and a dive bomb and a half into turn 1. But we're patient, and we have DRS now as we entered and crossed that line behind Hulkenberg before Rouge. So now as we go down that Camel Straight, we're into lean mixture to save the fuel. We knew we were going to make that pass, or at least I knew I was going to make that pass, because I was pretty confident about the speed we had and the overspeed we had, as obviously it slingshots your car down that straight, and so we could save a bit of fuel there. And so now we wanted to save that fuel, because we move on to the second last lap of the Grand Prix, lap 21. We're in rich mix at the moment as we go through Blanchimont. We don't have a ton of fuel to play with here to defend from Hulkenberg as we move on towards the last lap of the Grand Prix then, and so that's why I was going lean mixture, especially in sector 2 through Podium, corners like that. that where it's very difficult for a car to really make a pass there. So that's where, you know, you're being a bit tactical. And again, through the final corner, lead mixture back to standing. And again, Hulkenberg makes a diving move. This time, though, I'm able to keep it side by side with him. And so we go through the exit of turn 1. We're still ahead of him, unlike the previous attempt he made. And as we go down towards the hill, he's still there, neck and neck. And so one of us is going to have to give out. We go a little bit wide on the left, giving him the room. And we're actually still side by side till the top of the hill where Hulkenberg just backs off. But I gave him all the room I could. And it's not going to be me that makes the move. It's going to be Sergio Perez on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Slipstream, DRS. And he's going to go down the inside of Sebastian Vettel. And he's going to successfully get P3 at the Belgian Grand Prix. Vettel tries to fend off, but it's no use. And the Ferrari is defeated by the Force India. And he's up into P3, Sergio Perez is. Meanwhile, though, we defend from Hulkenberg. And we use the last inches of our rich mix there as we go down towards the bus stop then for the final time in this race on lap 22. And this is going to be the win at the Belgian Grand Prix. And that's going to be the lead of the Drivers' World Championship. A really, really satisfying drive from P14 on the grid. And, you know, fair plays to Hulkenberg and Vettel. Remember, myself, Vettel and Hulkenberg all were knocked out in Q2. And all of us are in the top 4. So, you got to say, quite funnily enough, it looks like getting knocked out in Q2 was a good strategy around here at Belgium, making the one-stop work. And, yeah, so satisfying to get that win. We played the strategy to a T. We played the fuel mixture to a T, you know, saved it where we needed to, saved it through the final corner. Yes, Hulkenberg comes back at him, but we're confident to use rich mix, the slipstream, the DRS, all of that good stuff. And we're able to keep ahead of him there. And quite funny enough, actually, if you think about it, my 2 former teammates are with me on the podium. Myself, Hulkenberg and Perez. So, I don't know, maybe I have a thing for whoever's my former teammates. They end up, you know, being pretty good ones. And so now as we move on towards the driver's standings, then you can see there, Daniel Ricciardo finished in P11. He was outside the points. He got overtaken by Grosjean and stayed down in P11. So 0 points for him means we move up not only to the Drivers' Championship lead, but also by 19 points. So right now, very nice cushion, and that's going to come in handy when we get to races like Singapore and Malaysia, where I can already tell this Mercedes car is going to be absolutely horrendous, especially at Malaysia, where I already struggle anyway in any car. This Mercedes car, at me and it, we're not going to perform well there. So we're going to need this cushion for races like that. So the fight is not over by any means. Obviously, next race, Italy. Hopefully, that's a good one for us in a straight line. But then when we get to those races, Singapore, Malaysia, like I said, we're gonna be thanking our lucky stars we have this kind of cushion. So guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. Unfortunately, no R&D purchases for us at the end of this episode. We don't have enough for even any kind of minor upgrades really that I would want to do. So we're gonna have to wait till next episode. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.